On the 5th of April 2012, Dovetail Games, then known as RailSimulator.com, released the Settle and Carlisle Route for Train Simulator. The route comes as part of DTG's Classic line of products and is currently retailing for £9.99. Since Microsoft Train Simulator, the route has had a handful of iterations in a number of simulators over the years. Dovetail's version of the route dates back to Train Simulator 2012. At the time of writing, it's the most up-to-date, and the route represents modern-day workings and infrastructure. Also known as the S&C, the line is approximately 73 miles long and crosses the remote scenic regions of the Yorkshire Dales and the North Pennines. It stretches between Settle Junction on the Leeds to Morecambe line and Carlisle near the border between England and Scotland. Born out of railway politics, the route was constructed in the 1870s and over 6,000 navvies were employed to build it. It was built to the standard of a double-track main line. In order to keep the number of gradients to a minimum, 14 tunnels and 22 viaducts were constructed. All passenger services are currently operated by Northern. The S&C also sees use as a diversionary route when the West Coast Main Line is closed for engineering works. The stations are nicely detailed and they provide a good representation of their real-world counterparts. They serve the counties of North Yorkshire and Cumbria, as well as some small rural communities. The scenery is well detailed and features breathtaking views of the line itself and the surrounding area. The sparsely built up areas are certainly atmospheric, and with less buildings and structures to render, this helps the route to perform rather smoothly when running trains. The route utilises the default lighting within Train Simulator's engine, which is fine enough on its own. However, I feel that the infamous blue mist that appears here can let the route down. A lighting enhancement pack from Armstrong Powerhouse can help to improve the lighting. However, this pack is not able to work with the custom weather effects that come packaged with the route. There does seem to be a scenery issue with these two tunnels in particular. I don't know if this is fixable given the age of the route and how the developers missed it, but it does ever so slightly ruin the level of polish that has gone into the route. Incidentally, this route was made before lighting occlusions became the norm, so when you drive through the tunnel it won't go dark in the cab. Bearing in mind that this route also predates the introduction of super elevation in the curves, the track work is what it is and keeps the trains relatively steady. That said, don't expect to be going anywhere fast. The maximum line speed is 60 miles an hour. In terms of signalling, the route features a mixture of classic semaphores and modern day colour lights. The route is also equipped with the automatic warning system, and whilst the grids associated with the train protection and warning system are visible, they have not been scripted to work. By default, this route comes with 5 trains, these being the Northern Rail Class 158 diesel multiple unit, EWS Livered Class 37 and 66 locomotives, and 2 steam locomotives, Jubilee Class 460 Leander and an 0604F in LMS livery. Rolling stock bundled with the route includes HHA and HTA hoppers, PCA tankers and Crimson Mark I coaches. This is one of very few routes that comes with such a plentiful supply of rolling stock for its price, and this is much appreciated when the majority of routes today come packaged with a minimum one train and one livery. I very rarely touch a steam engine in Train Simulator, as I don't really have the time nor the motivation to master the controls of one. When I do drive one, however, I always have the automatic fireman turned on, and I also use the F4 display to show the relevant information. Having driven both these engines, they seem to perform rather well in the driving department. In fact, I wouldn't be too surprised if their handling characteristics were recycled from the Rail Simulator Stanier Black 5, as both of these engines use the same sound set. Modern traction is more of my cup of tea. The version of the Class 66 that is supplied with this route is quite a mixed bag, and I don't think that this particular model has aged very well. The engine sounds are okay, but nothing spectacular. The horn is certainly the weakest affair, being looped and only controlled by the spacebar. One of the interesting features of the Class 66 is the spring-loaded pneumatic brake. Unfortunately, this aspect hasn't been simulated properly, and the controls feel rather jerky and awkward. The train's headlights, controlled by H, has 3 settings: off, on and tail. I appreciate that when turned on, the headlights provide a decent amount of flare, so you can see where you're going in dark conditions. The Class 37 fares better, and it feels fairly standard in the way it drives. While sounding fairly generic, the default sound set for this locomotive isn't too bad, and it captures that growling sound that the Class 37s are well known for. As you can probably hear, however, I have the Class 37 Pro sound pack installed from Armstrong Powerhouse, which is certainly recommended if you want to add a further dimension to the way the train sounds. Out of all of the trains supplied, the Class 158 is by far the worst. With the exception of the horn, the rest of the sounds were recycled from the original version of the Class 166 from Rail Simulator. These sounds are noisy, and they really start to show their age when they start to loop over once the train goes above 40 miles an hour on full power. The train itself also feels awkward to drive, more so than the Class 66. The train struggles to accelerate, and the brakes apply far too slowly for my liking, even in the 2-car formation. If that wasn't bad enough, the train's headlights don't even work properly. When you turn the headlights on, the headlight switch moves from the off position to the night and marker position, and weirdly, only the tail lights illuminate. No matter how hard you try with a keyboard and mouse, the switch stubbornly remains in the same position. Without the proper settings, this means that it is impossible to drive the S&C 158 at night. Once again, I'm amazed at how this issue went unnoticed by the developers, and at the time of writing, this problem still hasn't been fixed. On a more positive note, the actual model quality of the trains themselves and the rolling stock supplied are quite good, and fairly accurate from what I can tell. For all of its faults, I do actually like the weathering on the Class 158. When this route migrated over to Train Simulator 2013, the trains also benefited from the TSX lighting and rain effects. Collectively, 13 standard scenarios are included, some of which have career versions where you can score points and earn achievements for your Steam account. The scenarios are all fictional and make good use of the rolling stock that they give you. Additionally, the route also comes with a further 3 scenarios for the free roam type. So, if you are looking for one of the most scenic routes in northern England and you want to challenge yourself to drive a variety of steam and diesel traction, I would certainly recommend this route. At a penny short of £10, the pack certainly offers some value for money in terms of the amount of rolling stock that you are provided with. There are also several other items of DLC that have more scenarios for the route, such as the BR Green and Rail Freight Class 31 and the West Coast Railways Class 57. It's completely up to you if you want to pay full price. However, Steam do hold regular sales throughout the year, so if you wait a little longer, you may end up grabbing yourself a bargain. If you would like to keep up to date with the videos I post on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter for further updates. Thanks for watching and take care.